the 5th of August, 2025. Monday, 5th of August, 4th of August. Monday, the 4th of August. And yes, reading from our Caitanya Caritamrta, chapter 8, Adi-lila chapter 8. And we're starting in verse 17 today. Agyantimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadaliye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shwapadantikam Priya Sarupe, Dayata Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavaratinokulo, Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Haripurata Sundurata Tikatam Vasatipita, Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha. Yam Prabhajantamanapetiam apeti krityam dvaipaino viraha katara ajuhava putreti tam matayo tarabhavanidustam sarvabhutam hridim munimanatoshmi bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay shiptasya karmati tarangamahye kripamayi tvam sharanam prapana brinde namaste charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvayivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Sharanam Tikam. And first of all, offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering again millions of Dandavat pranams to our dearmost Nitya-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again I'm offering my Sastang Dandavats to our dearmost Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and all our Rupanuga Guru Varg and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of them. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanivyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah. So we've just climbed out of our very weighty chapter 7, where Mahaprabhu performed the heroic deed of purifying the Varanasi sannyasis, Mayavadi sannyasis. So we had many truths about the nature of the Vedanta Sutra when it's spoken by the Brahmagyanis. And now we're coming into a different mood, a different teaching. And we've just been describing in the previous chapter or previous text 16 about the efficacy of chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And if one chants without offenses, then one can very quickly develop and progress on this very simple path given by Sachinandan Gaurahari in the thick of the age of Kali. It couldn't be a complicated path because nobody would follow it, Astanga Yoga or something of that nature. So it's very simple, simply chanting Hare Krishna, dancing on the streets, performing festivals, prasadam, etc. So it's all tailor-made for the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. And if we fail to take advantage of this, that's greatly to our misfortune. So we're coming today to text 17. Janato sulabha muktiya bhuktiya yagnadi punyata seyam sadhana sahasraye hari bhakti sudurlabha. Translation. By cultivating philosophical knowledge, one can understand his spiritual position and thus be liberated and by performing sacrifices and pious activities, one can achieve sense gratification in a higher planetary system, Swaga. But the devotional service of the Lord is so rare that even by executing hundreds and thousands of such sacrifices, one cannot obtain it. So this devotional service is so rare because it creates the intimacy, that spontaneous relationship between the conditioned soul, the realized conditioned soul, and the Supreme Lord Krishna, and all his parikars, etc. in Vrindavan. So, purport. Prahlad Maharaj instructs, Matena Krishne Prata Svatova Mito Bipadyeta Griha Vratantam. And again, Naisham Matista Varukram Manangrim Sprishyarta Pagamo Yat Arata Mahi Mahiya Shampadarajo Bhishekam Niskinchanam Na Vrinitayavat. This is from the 7th canto, 5th chapter, verse 30 and 32. These shlokas are to be discussed. Their purport is that one cannot obtain Krishna Bhakti or the devotional service of the Lord by official execution of Vedic rituals. We cannot become like robots and expect this magically, mystically, this consciousness of my relationship with Krishna to suddenly manifest. One has to approach a pure devotee. Narottam Das Thakur sings, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payacha Kabe. Who has been elevated without rendering service to a pure Vaishnava? It is the statement of Prahlad Maharaj that unless one is able to accept the dust from the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava, there is no possibility of achieving the platform of devotional service. This is the secret. The above-mentioned Tantra Vachana, quoted from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.136, is our perfect guidance in this connection. So text 18. Nothing can transpire without the mercy of someone who is already elevated onto that platform. We give the example many times of like in a well. You can't get out of the well until somebody comes to help you out. But we also have our contribution to getting out of the well. We have to hold on to the rope. So it's both. It's mercy and its effort is required. Kripa and Chesta. Both Sadguru and our efforts are needed. Text 18. Krishna yadi chute bhakti bhukti mukti diya kabu prema bhakti na dena rahina lukia. If a devotee wants liberation or material sense gratification from the Lord, Krishna immediately delivers it by pure devotional service, but pure devotional service he keeps hidden. It's confidential, like the beautiful verse, the Rahasya, the secret of the Chatushloki, Yata Mahanti Bhutani, this third verse. This devotional service is a secret, and Mahaprabhu comes in a confidential way. He is Krishna directly, but he's come with the mood and Kanti complexion of Sri Radhika. He also comes in a confidential mood, and he's come to give a confidential gift. This Raganuga Bhakti is a confidential gift. It's not to be broadcast. It's not to be exhibited externally. It's not about the external world at all. In the external world, we behave fully according to Vaidhi Bhakti. But in our meditation and our practice internally, we take up this path of Raganuga Bhakti diligently. But that's confidential. That is a secret also. That's not to be broadcast publicly necessarily. It has to be confidential too. Text 19. Rajan patir guru alam bhavatam yudunam daivam priya kulapati kvakacha kinkarova asteva manga bhagavan bhajatam mukundo Muktim dadati karichitsmana bhakti yogam. Translation. The great sage Narad said, "My dear Maharaj Yudhisthira, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is always ready to help you. He is your master, guru, God, very dear friend, and head of your family. Yet sometimes he agrees to act as your servant or order carrier. You are greatly fortunate because this relationship is possible only by bhakti yoga. The Lord can give liberation, mukti, very easily, but it does not very easily give one bhakti yoga, because by that process, he is bound to the devotee." These are so profound translations. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Purport. This passage is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 5, 6, 18. While Shukadev Goswami was describing the character of Rishabdev, he distinguished between bhakti yoga and liberation by reciting this verse. In relationship with the Yadus and the Pandavas, the Lord acted sometimes as their master, sometimes as their advisor, sometimes as their friend, sometimes as the head of their family, and sometimes even as their servant. Krishna once had to carry out an order of Yudhisthira's by carrying a letter Yudhisthira had written to Duryodhana regarding peace negotiations. Similarly, he also became the chariot driver of Arjuna. This illustrates that in Bhakti Yoga, there is a relationship established between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotee. This is the principle. It's this relationship. Such a relationship is established in the transcendental mellow known as Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. If a devotee wants simple liberation, he gets it very easily from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by Bilvamangala Thakur, Mukti Swayam Muktulanjali Sevata Sman. For a devotee, mukti is not very important, because mukti is always standing on his doorstep, waiting to serve him in some way. A devotee, therefore, must be attracted by the behavior of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who live in a relationship with Krishna. We have Rupa Goswami's Turabhav coming up in a couple of days, and very much Rupa Goswami is bringing us into this land of Vrindavan. Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave all these truths, and he particularly empowered Rupa Goswami, Radharani's closest Manjari, to divulge all these secret truths to the general people, to the popular world. And so we can be meditating now on his great gifts that we'll discuss on Wednesday. A devotee, therefore, must be attracted by the behavior of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who live in a relationship with Krishna. The land, water, cows, trees, and flowers serve Krishna in Shantaras, although my Gurudev describes that there's no Shantaras in Braj, but it's a different flavor of Shantaras. His servants serve him in Dasyaras, and his cowherd friends serve him in Sakyaras. Similarly, the elder gopis and gopas serve Krishna as father and mother, uncle and other relatives, and the young gopis, the cowherd girls, serve Krishna in conjugal love. Actually, if we read this Radha Krishna Ganadesh Deepika, it describes that all the inhabitants of Braj, practically all of them, are related in one way or another to Krishna. He's their relative, first cousin, second cousin, third cousin, etc. But there's some natural relationship, this sambandha, lokik sambandha. It appears like a mundane relationship, but actually within that is the highest flavor of sweetness that the Brijbasis share with Krishna. While executing devotional service, one must be naturally inclined to serve Krishna in one of these transcendental relationships. That is actual success of life. That is the actual success of life. For a devotee to get liberation is not very difficult. Even one who is unable to establish a relationship with Krishna can achieve liberation by merging into the Brahman effulgence. This is called Sayuja Mukti. Vaishnavas never accept Sayuja Mukti, although sometimes they accept the other forms of liberation, namely Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya, and Sharsti. So Sarupya is having a form like the Lord in Vaikuntha. Salokya is to live on the same planet as the Lord. Samipya is having a close, intimate relationship with the Lord in Aishwarya. And Sharsti is to have the same opulence as the Lord. A pure devotee, however, does not accept any kind of mukti. In other words, Vaikuntha is a type of mukti. He wants only to serve Krishna in a transcendental relationship, personally with Krishna. This is the perfectional stage of spiritual life. Mayavadi philosophers desire to merge into the existence of the Brahman effulgence, although this aspect of liberation is always neglected by the devotees. We've just been through these Mayavadi Varanasi sannyasis, and their principal goal is to merge into this Brahma Jyoti. This is their goal. This is mukti. Srila Pramodhananda Saraswati Thakur, describing this kind of mukti, which is called Kaivalya, or becoming one with the Supreme, has said, Kaivalyam Naraka Yate. Becoming one with the Supreme is as good as going to hell. Therefore, the ideal of Mayavad philosophy, becoming one with the Supreme, is hellish for a devotee. There would be no relationship, no sambandha at all. We've described many times within the Brahman, there are two qualities. What are those qualities? Gyan and Vairagya, knowledge and renunciation. But there's no sambandha in the Brahmajyoti. Therefore, no connection with the Lord directly. Therefore, the ideal of the Mayavad philosophy, becoming one with the Supreme, is hellish for a devotee. He never accepts it. Mayavadi philosophers do not know that even if they merge into the effulgence of the Supreme, this will not give them ultimate rest. There's a very interesting part here. You cannot have that ultimate rest by merging into the Brahmajyoti. An individual soul cannot live in the Brahman effulgence in a state of inactivity. After some time, he must desire to be active. What is that activity? Of love. That activity, that desire to love, because that's the nature of the spirit soul. The nature of the spirit soul is to love Krishna. Jivara Sarup Hoy Krishnara Nityadas. Eternally loving Krishna. So that's our nature. So even merging into the Brahmajyoti, although it's said in some scriptures that actually it's like spiritual suicide, and that seed of love is practically extinguished. It's practically cooked. My Gurudev used to describe, if you put chickpeas in a frying pan and you heat them up, you can't again plant them in the ground. Their souls have been cooked. So in many instances, the soul is actually cooked through that desire to merge into the Brahman effulgence. So this desire, this to become active, is active in the realm of love. And therefore, again, we have to take birth in this material world and have a mother to love, a father to love, etc. This mundane love, and then eventually, by the mercy of a pure devotee, come to a higher recognition of what is divine love, transcendental love. However, since he is not aware of his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore has no spiritual activity, he must come down for further activities in this material world. Yes, in that Brahman effulgence, there's no connection with the spiritual world. Therefore, all he knows is this material world. And again, he has to come back into this realm. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:2-32. Aruya krachrena param padam tata patyantyado nidrita yusmad angraya. Because Mayavadi philosophers have no information regarding the transcendental service of the Lord, even after attaining liberation from material activities and merging into the Brahman effulgence, they must come down again to this material world to open hospitals or schools or perform similar philanthropic activities. This is tragic. The devotees are always far away from that desire for mukti, liberation. This is wonderful truths that are coming through here. Text 20. Heno prema Shri Caitanya Adi-lila yata tata jagai madai parayanta anyere kakata. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has freely given this love of Krishna everywhere and anywhere, even to the most fallen, such as Jagai and Madai. What then to speak of those who are already pious and elevated? Purport. The distinction between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift to human society and the gifts of others is that whereas so-called philanthropic and humanitarian workers have given some relief to human society as far as the body is concerned, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offers the best facilities for going back home, back to Godhead, with love of Godhead. If one seriously makes a comparative study of these two gifts, the philanthropic and altruistic gifts to humanity, certainly if he is at all sober, little bit controlled, he will give the greatest credit to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was with this purpose that Sri Kaviraj Goswami says, Sri Krishna Chaitanya doya korat vichar, vichara korile chite pabe chamatkar. If you are indeed interested in logic and argument, kindly apply it to the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you do so, you will find it to be strikingly wonderful. In other words, what is the munificent nature of Mahaprabhu is that he's bestowing this highest, practically inconceivable gift on the jiva. We simply have to follow Mahaprabhu's guidance. Mahaprabhu is proclaiming, we've already discussed it in the 4th chapter, that by following in the footsteps of the Braja Ramanis, the gopis of Vrindavan, that we can come to this highest state of consciousness in pure love directly for the gopis of Vrindavan, for the Brijvasis, which includes, of course, Krishna. Narottam Das Thakur says, Dine hine yata chile hari nama udarile, tara shiksha Jagai Madai. The two brothers, Jagai and Madai, epitomize the sinful population of this age of Kali. They were most disturbing elements in society because they were meat-eaters, drunkards, woman hunters, rogues and thieves. Now we have all these people ruling, governing. Yet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered them, to say nothing of others who were sober, pious, devoted and conscientious. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that to say nothing of the Brahmanically qualified devotees and Rajarishis, Kim Puna Brahmana Punya Bhakta Rajasyas Tata, anyone who, by the association of a pure devotee, comes to Krishna consciousness, becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, for example, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada declares that all his followers, he will personally come and take them all back to Godhead. And there are many instances of a devotee leaving his body, and they've perhaps come far away from their practices, but still at that very point of leaving their body, they're calling out the name of Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There are many examples of this. And my Gurudev is the same. He also has ensured that we will be progressively moving forward with our bhakti, with our devotional kripa. The Lord thus declares, Mamhi parata vyapashrita ye, ipa yepi su papa yonaha, striyo vaishyas tata shudras, te piyanti param gatim. O son of Prita, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants and Sudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the two fallen brothers, Jagai and Madai, that the entire world is presently full of Jagai and Madais, or in other words, woman hunters, meat eaters, gamblers, thieves, and other rogues who create all kinds of disturbances in society. Actually, they make it like this is normal. This is what we call a hedonistic society, where the average activities of the people are revolving around these degraded acts. And this is across the globe. The activities of such persons have now become common practices. Yes, that's what I'm just saying. It is no longer considered abominable to be a drunkard, woman hunter, meat eater, thief, or rogue, for these elements have been assimilated by human society. That does not mean, however, that the abominable qualities of such persons will help free human society from the clutches of Maya. Rather, they will entangle humanity more and more in the reactions of the stringent laws of material nature. One's activities are all performed under the influence of the modes of material nature, prakriti, kriyamanani, guna, karmani, sarvashaha. Because people are now associating with the modes of ignorance, tamagun, and to some extent passion, rajagun, with no trace of goodness, sattvagun, they are becoming increasingly greedy and lusty, for that is the effect of associating with these modes. Tada rajas tamo baba karma lobadayas chaye. By associating with the two lower qualities of material nature, one becomes lusty and greedy. Bhagavatam 1:2-19. Actually, in modern human society, everyone is greedy and lusty, and therefore the only means for deliverance is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. So if we appreciate our own fallen natures and understand that there is no other solution of purification or advancement than taking shelter of Mahaprabhu, then it's very clear our direction where we have to go. Actually, in modern human society, everyone is greedy and lusty. Therefore, the only means for deliverance is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan, which can promote all the Jagai and Madais to the topmost position of Sattvagun, or Brahminical culture, initially. And from this place of Satyagun, then we can proceed further into Vishuddha Sattva, that transcendental realm. Srimad Bhagavatam states, Nasta prayashu avadareshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama shloka bhakti bhavati naistiki tada rajas tamo bhavaha karma lobadayas chaye cheta etya anavidam stitam sattve prasidati. Considering the chaotic condition of human society, if one actually wants peace and tranquility, one must take to the Krishna consciousness movement and engage always in Bhagavad Dharma. Engagement in Bhagavad Dharma dissipates all ignorance and passion, and when ignorance and passion are dissipated, one is freed from greed and lust. When freed from greed and lust, one becomes Brahminically qualified. And when a Brahminically qualified person makes further advancement, he becomes situated on the Vaishnava platform. You see, there are stages, degrees. It is only on this Vaishnava platform that it is possible to awaken one's dormant love of Godhead. And as soon as one does so, his life is successful. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada very beautifully, systematically, is guiding us through the different steps, gradually, step by step. At present, human society is specifically cultivating the mode of ignorance, tamagun, although there may also be some symptoms of passion, rajagun. Full of calm and lobha, lust and greed, the entire population of the world consists mostly of Sudras and a few Vaishyas, and gradually it is coming about that there are Sudras only. Communism is a movement of Sudras, and capitalism is meant for Vaishyas. In the fighting between the two factions, the Sudras and Vaishyas, gradually due to the abominable condition of society, the communists will emerge triumphant. And as soon as this takes place, whatever is left of society will be ruined. The only possible remedy that can counteract the tendency towards communism is the Krishna consciousness movement, which can give even communists the real idea of a communistic society. According to the doctrine of communism, the state should be the proprietor of everything. But the Krishna consciousness movement, expanding this same idea, accepts God as the proprietor of everything. People cannot understand this because they have no sense of God. But the Krishna consciousness movement can help them to understand God and to understand that everything belongs to God, since everything is the property of God, and all living entities, not only human beings, but even animals, birds, plants, and so on, are children of God. Everyone has the right to live at the cost of God with God consciousness. This is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. Very beautiful, very beautiful. And all of this, by the mercy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, can rise during this most degraded Kali Yuga. So text 21. Swatantra Ishvara Prema Niguda Bandara Bilaila Lyara Tara Na Kailala Vichara. And some beautiful pictures. Sri translation: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, is fully independent, swatantra. Therefore, although it is the most confidentially stored benediction, he can distribute love of Godhead to anyone and everyone without consideration. This is a mighty statement. We know that Krishna has these two qualities, swatantra, ichamayi, and swatantra and swaicamayi. Swatantra and swaicamayi. Freedom and independence. Free will and freedom. These are two different qualities. Free will means I can do what I like, and independence means I have the space to do what I like. So Krishna has these two qualities specifically. This Icha Maita and Swatantrata. This is described in the end of the 14th chapter of Jayavadama. Because in the Jayavadama, Brajanath, he asked the question at the very end of this chapter about Shakti Tattva. He's asking, you've described the Swarup Shakti of Krishna, who manifests everything. Swarup Shakti is manifesting this Sandini Shakti, Sangvit Shakti, and this Hladini Shakti. All these Shaktis are being manifest by Swarup Shakti, who is Krishna's energy. Everything is going on by Krishna's energy. So Brajanath asks this very intelligent question, well, what does Krishna do then? And Babaji replies, Krishna has complete freedom and free will. This Ichamayata, Swatantrata. He has these two qualities of independence. Just like the fire. The fire is always independent from the heat. The heat is the energy which is being utilized in all different ways by the nature of the fire. The fire isn't actually doing anything. The fire is just generating the energy. So the fire is Krishna directly, and his energy is Sri Radhika, Shakti and Shaktiman. Puna Shakti, Puna Shaktiman. These two are the same. Remember that verse? Krishna Puna Shakti, Radha Puna Shaktiman, E Dui Vastu Veda, Veda Nai, Shastra Praman. These two are non-different. Purport. This is the benefit of Lord Chaitanya's movement. If one somehow or other comes in contact with the Hare Krishna movement without consideration of being a Sudra, Vaishya, Jagai, Madai, or even lower, he becomes advanced in spiritual consciousness and immediately develops love of Godhead. We now have actual experience that throughout the entire world, this movement is making many such persons lovers of God simply by chanting the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Actually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared as the spiritual master of the entire world. It's described in Mana Shiksha. He's our Bhajan Shiksha Guru. He's our spiritual master. He does not discriminate between offenders and the innocent. Krishna Prem Pradayate. He liberally gives love of God to anyone and everyone. This can be actually experienced as stated in the next verse. This is phenomenal. When we see Krishna, Krishna yayatamam prapadyante. Krishna will give on the condition that we surrender unto him. Krishna has a condition. Yayatamam prapadyante. As we surrender unto him, he gives accordingly, according to the degree of our surrender, our sharanagat. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't have any consideration. My Gurudev used to describe like you come to Krishna with your pot and you beg for his mercy to be placed in the pot. Whereas Mahaprabhu is going to give you the pot itself and place the mercy in it. We should meditate on this distinction deeply. How merciful is Mahaprabhu to the fallen conditioned souls? We should always consider ourselves the most fallen, like Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving the leading example, not even to mention his name. He says that he is lower than a worm in stool, and he's not just saying that, he means that. All the great noble acharyas, they all are giving the same mood of abject humility. And that abject humility is what is required, Trinadapi Sunichina, to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, Caitanya Sadahari, in order to chant this mantra. And Mahaprabhu will give this liberally. This can be actually experienced as stated in the next verse. Text 22. Adya Pilatika Chaitanyanam Yelaya Krishna Prema Pulakshu Kashru Bivala Sehoya. Translation. Whether he is offensive or inoffensive, anyone who even now chants Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda is immediately overwhelmed with ecstasy and tears fill his eyes. Purport. The Prakrita Sahajias who chant Nitai Gaur Radhe Sham have very little knowledge of the Bhagavat conclusion, and they hardly follow the Vaishnava rules and regulations. And yet because they chant Bhaje Nitai Gaur, their chanting immediately evokes tears and other signs of ecstasy. Although they do not know the principles of Vaishnava philosophy and are not very much advanced in education, by these symptoms they attract many men to become their followers. Their ecstatic tears will of course help them in the long run, for as soon as they come in contact with a pure devotee, their lives will become successful. Even in the beginning, however, because they are chanting the holy names of Nitai Gaur, their swift advancement on the path of love of Godhead is very prominently visible. So this is very wonderful. It's not going to happen overnight. It may not happen in a single birth, but definitely it confirms that that Jivatma, that soul, is on the path back to the highest conception conceivable of loving Sri Krishna in Vrindavan, because Mahaprabhu has come to give Braja Prem. He hasn't come to give Vaikuntha Prem, or even Ayodhya Prem, or Dwarka Prem, Mathura Prem. He hasn't come for that specific reason. He hasn't come just to give Shuddha Bhakti. Advaita Acharya is preaching Shuddha Bhakti. Nityananda also is indicating Shuddha Bhakti, but highlighting the path of to come to Mahaprabhu, to receive this Braja Prem. It's very scientific, the path that we're on. Text 23. Nityananda Balite Hare Krishna Premodaya Olakaya Sakala Anga Ashru Ganga Vaya. Translation. Simply by talking of Nityananda Prabhu, one awakens his love for Krishna. Thus all his bodily limbs are agitated by ecstasy, and tears flow from his eyes like the waters of the Ganga. Text 24. Krishna nama kare aparadare vichara. Krishna bolile aparadir nahaya vikara. There are offenses to be considered while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, simply by chanting Hare Krishna, one does not become ecstatic. So now, if tears are not coming from your eyes while you're chanting, if your hairs are not standing on end, this purport we have to maximize. This purport is going to describe the different apparats, the different offenses to the holy name. If the offenses are being committed, then the holy name cannot manifest through the solid wall of offenses. They're there to protect the purity of the holy name. That's their purpose. Purport. It is very beneficial to chant the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda before chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because by chanting these two holy names, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, one immediately becomes ecstatic, and if he then chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he becomes free from offenses. This is the process. There are 10 offenses to avoid in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The first offense is to blaspheme great personalities who are engaged in distributing the holy name of the Lord. It is said in Shastra, Caitanya Caritamrta Adi-lila 8.17, Krishna Shakti Vino Nahi Tare Pravartana. One can distribute the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One cannot distribute the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra unless he is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should not criticize or blaspheme a devotee who is thus engaged. This is the first offense. We all know this, but we're so polluted by the environment to criticizing that it just comes easily on our tongues. And for many years in the material world, we've already criticized so many people. And it becomes very simple for us to again criticize the devotees. So this is a very common offense that is holding the conditioned souls back from getting this highest taste. Any sort of offenses. And don't think just in family life that excludes offenses to my wife or husband or children. Our wives, husband, family members, they're also devotees. We should see them also, more so as devotees, and not consider them my property or something like that, and think, yes, I can be offensive like that. There's no need to see through this lens of apparat. It's so important. We can't say how important it is. Therefore, one should not criticize or blaspheme a devotee who is engaged. Sri Padma Purana states, Satam Ninda Namaha Paramam Aparadam Vitanute Yata Kuyatim Yatam Katam Yusahate Tad Vigraham Vigarham. To blaspheme the great saintly persons who are engaged in preaching the glories of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the worst offense at the lotus feet of the holy name. One should not criticize a preacher of the glories of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If one does so, he is an offender. The Nam Prabhu, who is identical with Krishna, will never tolerate such blasphemous activities, even from one who passes as a great devotee. So if we see something inappropriate within a devotee, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj says, it's none of your business. It's none of our business how someone else is behaving. It's Guru's business, and if Guru is seeing that fault, anomaly within the sadhak, he will arrange, and Krishna himself will arrange for that devotee to become purified of that apparat or offense. But because of our low nature, our conditioned nature, we become habituated to criticizing others, and almost it becomes like our nectar, the tonic of Gramya Katha, the tonic of criticizing those devotees who are diligently trying their utmost to connect with Krishna themselves and trying to connect others with Krishna in their own ways. It might not be exactly textbook or exactly the way we're doing it, but we should consider the outcome. Somebody may be presenting Krishna consciousness in a very familiar type of environment, and not dressing in dhoti or cloth, anything like that. That is also not to be criticized. There's no need to criticize anyone. It just creates a bad taste in the consciousness. We have to hear this many, many times, because I know many of the practicing devotees are very prone to criticizing, and it's going to create a solid wall between us and connecting with the Supreme Lord. It's like the Lord has so many children, and He's trying to bring us all back to Godhead, and the children are fighting amongst each other. This is very unsavory for the Lord. The second nama aparad is described as follows. Shivasya Shri Vishnu ya iha guna namadi sukalam diya binam pashyet sa kalo hari namahati kara. In this material world, the holy name of Vishnu is all auspicious. Vishnu's name, form, qualities, and pastimes are all transcendental, absolute knowledge. Therefore, if one tries to separate the absolute personality of Godhead from His holy name or His transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, thinking them to be material, that is offensive. Similarly, to think that the names of demigods, such as Lord Shiva, are as good as the name of Lord Vishnu. In other words, to think that Lord Shiva and the other demigods are other forms of God and therefore equal to Vishnu is also blasphemous. So here in Bharatvash in India, this is very common. People will worship Shiva, Ganesh, Surya Dev, Durga Ma, and they haven't been educated sufficiently to appreciate the distinction between Krishna or Vishnu and these other demigods. So the Hare Krishna movement has to try to educate such people. This is the second offense at the lotus feet of the holy name of the Lord. The third offense at the lotus feet of the holy name, which is called Guru Avagyan, is to consider the spiritual master to be material and therefore to envy his exalted position. Very easy to envy someone who we think is material. Oh, because perhaps the spiritual master gets served by many devotees, perhaps all kinds of various luxuries may be afforded and offered to the guru, because guru is actually working very hard, and it just makes his life much more simple if certain requirements are met. And it also gives the shishya an opportunity to connect with guru by performing various sevas. This is the liberality of guru, to give his shishyas opportunity to serve, to increase their connection to Krishna. This is the second offense at the lotus feet of the holy name of the Lord. The third offense at the lotus feet of the holy name, which is called, Guru Avyan, to consider the spiritual master to be material and therefore to envy his exalted position. The fourth offense, Shruti Shastra Nindanam, is to blaspheme Vedic literatures such as the four Vedas and the Puranas. The fifth offense, Artha Vada, is to consider the glories of the holy name to be exaggerations. Similarly, the sixth offense, Hari Namni Kalpanam, is to consider the holy name of the Lord to be imaginary. Kalpana means imaginary. The seventh offense is described as follows. Namno baladyasya hi papa buddhiya na vidyate tasya yamya hi shuddhihi. Shuddhihi. To think that since the Hare Krishna mantra can counteract all sinful reactions, one may therefore go on with his sinful activities and at the same time chant the Hare Krishna mantra to neutralize them is the greatest offense at the lotus feet of Harinam. Harinam the acharyas have put in place what must be there for the conditioned soul to receive the mercy of Nam. We have to understand these 10 offenses. We can send you a file with these 10 offenses on, and if you have it laminated on your desk regularly close by while you're chanting. You can refresh, and keep on every month, every few months refreshing. Am I chanting properly? If no tears are coming, if no hair is standing on end, then we should consider, yes, I am committing offenses. This is the reason. To think that sin, oh, I read that. Yes, so this seventh offense is to be very carefully guarded against, not to chant the holy name and then think he can get away with committing some type of aparad. The eighth offense is stated thus: Dharma brata tyaga hutadi sarva, shubha kriya samyam api pramadaha. It is offensive to consider the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra to be a religious, ritualistic ceremony. This becomes like a ritualistic ceremony when we are not focused on or attentive to our chanting, when we're inattentive in our chanting, when it becomes robotic. This is a very common offense that will hinder us all the way through. We can think that, yes, I'm sitting down to chant this Mahamantra. Now, please, dear Lord, give me the strength to have the focus of concentration and mind that during this time, this period, it may be half an hour, it may be an hour, it may be 2 hours or 3 hours. Let me give that set amount of time unequivocally to you. Let me just focus on these glorious names, because if I do that, then the glorious pastimes of the Lord are going to emerge from those names. The glorious qualities of the Lord are going to emerge from those names. The glorious forms of the Lord will emerge from those names if I give focused concentration on the Mahamantra. So much nectar can be derived from that. So daily I'm taking my mala. So daily I should sober up very strongly at the initial stage and very carefully embrace the beauty and speciality of this thing. And there's no need to think of anything else at that particular time. Generally we chant in the early morning hours is the best time, the Brahma Muhurta hours. That's when the modes of passion and ignorance are not so prevalent. It's practically just the Brahma Muhurta means that if you're in tune, you don't need to be influenced by passion or ignorance. And we see from, say, 3:30 in the morning till about 6 o'clock, and then it seems like the whole world starts up their industry and all the traffic increases. Although now it's running all the time, but still that time, that only one time frame in the whole day, that Brahma Muhurta hours is there. And after that comes the mode of passion, after that comes the mode of ignorance. Then in the evening time again is passion, and nighttime is ignorance. And only in that one period is the mode of goodness available. And if we diligently capture that time frame for our chanting, this Mahamantra, diligently, we have to make that effort. By nature, we've become lazy. These phones that we all use give us entertainment at our fingertips, looking on different people's Facebooks and different things like this, and our curiosity, our minds are naturally attracted to something that's giving us pleasure. So in so many ways, this phone can satisfy our senses. So if the phone is off and even far away, then there's no vibration coming from the phone. This should be carefully sought after by the serious devotees. So we've just been through we're in the eighth offense. These offenses can be unpacked unlimitedly, but I'm just going to read this purport and prick the hints. All the devotees listening will understand and appreciate the necessity to remember and refresh these 10 offenses. So this eighth offense, it is offensive to consider the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra to be ritualistic ceremony. Performing religious ceremonies Following vows and practicing renunciation and sacrifice are all materialistic, auspicious activities. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra must not be compared to such ritualistic religiosity. This is an offense at the lotus feet of the holy name of the Lord. These are very deep offenses to consider. The ninth offense is described as follows: Asradane vimukhe pi ashrinabati vati yash chapodesha shiva namaparada. It is an offense to preach the glories of the holy name among persons who have no intelligence or no faith in the subject matter. Such people should be given the chance to hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, but in the beginning they should not be instructed about the glories or the spiritual significance of the holy name. By constant hearing of the holy name, their hearts will be purified, and then they will be able to understand the transcendental position of the holy name. If we try and say this prematurely, people are not going to be able to comprehend that, and the principal teaching is that they perhaps will commit offenses to the holy name, and then that will set them back further. So the practicing preacher has to be very careful how he's distributing the holy name and how carefully he's assessing the person he's giving it to. You can't just give it to everybody because they'll will abuse it initially. Actually, Prabhupada is going to say later on that one can chant Nitai Gauranga, Nityananda Gauranga, Nityananda Gauranga initially. For Kanishtas, they can do like this. He will explain. The 10th offense is as follows: Shruti pi namamatmya ya priti rahota naraha aham mamadi paramo namne sopi aparada krit. If one has heard the glories of the transcendental holy name of the Lord, but nevertheless continues in a materialistic concept of life, thinking I am this body and everything belongs to this body, is mine, aham mameti, and does not show respect and love for the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, that is an offense. That's a huge offense, that 10th offense. Even after understanding so many instructions on this matter, we still are trying to enjoy materially. So understand all these offenses. If we're not feeling that ecstatic bliss, this is the reason. So our lives should be focused on purifying these offenses in my consciousness and heart. Very, very, very importantly. It's so important for us to, if we want to taste the bliss of Harinam, there's no choice. Text 25. Tad asma saram hridayam bhateham bhatadam yad gramanaye hari namo dedya na vikriyata tata vikaro netra jalam gatra ruhesha harshaha. Translation: if one's heart does not change, tears do not flow from his eyes, his body does not shiver, and his bodily hairs do not stand on end as he chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it should be understood that his heart is as hard as iron. This is due to his offenses at the lotus feet of the holy name of the Lord. So this can't be emphasized any more than this. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam verse. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, commenting on this verse, which is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.24, remarks that sometimes a Mahabhagavat, or very advanced devotee, does not manifest such transcendental symptoms as tears in his eyes, whereas sometimes a Kanishta Adhikari, a neophyte devotee, displays them artificially. This does not mean, however, that the neophyte is more advanced than the Mahabhagavat devotee. The test of the real change of heart that takes place when one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is that one becomes detached from material enjoyment. We're not performing this for any material gain. This Mahamantra is not for me to have a happy life, a peaceful life, a simple life. It's for my connection in service to the Supreme Lord. This is the principal desire of the devotee chanting. This is the real change. Bhaktiya pranashabhinavo viraktiya anyata cha. Bhaktiya parashenavava viraktiya anyatra cha. If one is actually advancing in spiritual life, he must become very much detached from material enjoyment. If it is sometimes found that a Kanishta Adhikari, neophyte devotee, shows artificial tears in his eyes while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, but is still completely attached to material things, his heart has not really changed. The change must be manifested in terms of real activities. So I think we'll stop here for today. And there's more beautiful verses discussing the importance of this Maha Mantra and to be very cautious about these offenses to the holy name. So this is very inspiring for the devotees, because this is the foundation of our practice. Our practice is to be able to chant this name purely within one life. So we have to work on it. It's work in progress for most of us, to refresh and remember constantly these offenses and to help ourselves in our chanting. I've explained, by turning the phone off, have it at a distance, knowing that these hours of the day, this Brahma Muhurta section, this Muhurta of the day, it's the only mode of goodness in the whole day. And if I want my life to be successful and auspicious, I should utilize that Brahma Muhurta time for careful, focused chanting. And then my life will become nothing but auspicious. So it seems very, very simple. It's the most simple. But to actually perform it can take a long time, depending on our nishta for Guru. If our nishta for Sadguru is pure, then very quickly we can come to this platform of chanting purely. We can be freed from this Nama Parad and Nama Bas and come to Shuddhanam. These are describing the results of Shuddhanam, to come to the result of Shuddhanam. In Jaiva Dharma, again, there are 3 chapters. There is Nam Tattva, which is excellent to listen to, the glories of the holy name. And then there is Nama Bas and Nam Aparad, and how to avoid and purify both of these lesser ways of chanting. So in this Caitanya Caritamrta, just in a few pages, a few verses, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving us the whole package. If one wants to really take advantage of this holy name of the Lord, it's there. It's our choice every time in this birth. It's our choice how we go forward. It's all up to us. We have independence. All of us, we have independence to choose to actually do it nicely or to do it in a very negligent manner. It's all our choice. Shri Harinam ki jai. Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Tomorrow is Ekadashi here, and it's probably there in your countries also, Ekadashi today or tomorrow. So Ekadashi Brat is a good time to really focus on our chanting also. So Shri Harinam ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Haribo, Gaura Haribo, Gau Premanande, Hari Haribo, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhamevacha, Patitanam Pavnivyo, Vaishnavevyo, Namo Namaha. This Caitanya Caritamrta is certainly filled with nectar. It's completely heavy with nectar. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Gau Premanande, Hari Haribo, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhamevacha, Patitanam Pavnivyo, Vaishnavevyo, Namo Namaha.